McLaren just shocked Suzuka, and Mercedes did not see it coming. Because in a track where Mercedes has dominated all season, Oscar Piastri just went fastest. Not by a small margin. Not by luck. By finding something no one else has. After struggling in China, after reliability issues, McLaren arrives in Japan, and suddenly unlocks front-running pace. And here's the part that should worry Mercedes. They didn't bring upgrades. Nothing new. And yet, they're faster in the most demanding circuit on the calendar. High-speed corners. Energy management. Full commitment. That's Mercedes territory. Or at least, it was. Because now, the gap is gone. Less than a tenth. Which means one thing. This is no longer dominance. This is a fight. And if McLaren really fixed what was holding them back, then Mercedes might have just lost their biggest advantage. Stay with me, because what McLaren revealed today could completely change the balance of power in Formula One. At first, it didn't look like a threat. That's what made it so easy to overlook. Mercedes came into Suzuka exactly as expected. Calm, precise, in control. FP1 proved it. Russell on top, Antonelli right behind. No drama, no pressure, just clean, efficient dominance. And that's the key detail. Mercedes didn't need to push. They didn't bring upgrades. They didn't change direction. Because they didn't have to. The W17 was already the reference. Fast in every sector. Stable in every condition. Especially in high-speed corners. Which is exactly why Suzuka should have been theirs. But on the other side of the garage lane, something very different was happening. McLaren wasn't dominating. They were rebuilding. Quietly. After China, they had no choice. Double failure. 0 points. A complete collapse. And that forced a reaction. Not on the track, but behind the scenes. Emergency meetings. Deep analysis with Mercedes HPP. Trying to understand why everything went wrong. And more importantly, how to fix it without changing the entire car. Because they didn't redesign the MCL40. They didn't bring a new concept. They refined it. They corrected something that was already there. And in FP1, you can already see the first signs. Piastri doesn't stand out immediately. 4th place. Solid, but quiet. No headlines. But underneath that, something is different. The car looks stable. Predictable. Through the long corners, it doesn't move. It flows. And that's important. Because Suzuka punishes instability more than any other track. If your car is not perfectly balanced, you lose time everywhere. But McLaren was not losing time. They were waiting. Collecting data. Understanding the window. And that's where the story begins to shift. Because while Mercedes was confirming their dominance, McLaren was preparing something. Something that wouldn't show in FP1. Something that needed the right conditions. More grip. More speed. More commitment. And those conditions arrive in FP2. And this is where everything changes. Because FP2 is where performance becomes real. The track is faster. Grip is higher. Fuel loads drop. This is where every team shows what they actually have. And McLaren suddenly reveals everything. Piastri goes out. Clean lap. No mistakes. And then the time appears. Fastest. Not competitive. Not close. Fastest. A 1:30.133. And just like that, Mercedes is no longer alone at the top. Antonelli is right there. Russell too. But they're behind. And that's the moment where the entire paddock pauses. Because this wasn't expected. Not after China. Not after the issues. And definitely not without upgrades. So what changed? Because if you break down the lap, the answer is not where most people think. Sector 1, almost identical. The S-curves. The technical flow. McLaren matches Mercedes. No advantage. But then comes Sector 2. The fastest part of the track. Spoon. The long sweepers. The run into 130R. This is where the lap is won. Or lost. And this is exactly where McLaren does something different. They don't just carry speed. They maintain it. No instability. No corrections. Just continuous flow. And that's where the time appears. Which immediately raises a bigger question. Because Mercedes has been the reference in this exact type of corner. High speed. High load. Maximum commitment. That's their strength. So if McLaren is faster there, then something fundamental has shifted. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Because it's not just one lap. Long runs start to show the same pattern. Stable degradation. Consistent pace. The car doesn't spike. It doesn't drop off. It stays controlled. And that's dangerous. Because a car that is both fast over one lap and stable over long runs is not just competitive. It's a threat. A real one. And now Mercedes has a problem they didn't have before. Not catching McLaren. Understanding them. Because whatever McLaren fixed after China, it didn't just solve reliability. It unlocked performance. And the most uncomfortable part? They might not have reached the limit yet. And this is where Mercedes starts to feel it. Not panic, but pressure. Because for the first time this season, they don't have the clear answer. Up until now, everything made sense. They had the best package, the most efficient energy system, the most complete car. Even when others got close, Mercedes always had something extra. But now, that advantage looks smaller. Much smaller. And here's why this moment matters so much. Because McLaren didn't beat them everywhere. They beat them in the one place Mercedes built their dominance on. High-speed efficiency. The ability to carry speed without losing stability. That was the W17's identity. And now, the MCL40 is matching it. Maybe even exceeding it. And that creates a completely different kind of problem. Because you can't just adjust setup to fix that. You can't just find a few tenths overnight. This is conceptual. This is about how the car generates performance. And suddenly, Mercedes is no longer defining the standard. They're reacting to it. And that shift is everything. Because now, every lap in FP2 tells the same story. Antonelli pushes. Russell responds. But neither can clearly pull away. They stay close, but not ahead. And when a dominant team stops pulling away, that's when doubt starts to appear. Small at first. Almost invisible. But it's there. Because they know something changed. They just don't know exactly what. Is it the engine? Is it energy deployment? Is it how McLaren is managing the tires through the high-speed load? Or is it something even more subtle? Something hidden in how the car transitions between corners? That's the part that creates real tension. Because when you don't understand your rival, you can't predict them. And if you can't predict them, you can't control the race. Which brings us to the most important shift of all. This weekend is no longer about Mercedes executing a perfect plan. It's about whether that plan is still enough. Because if McLaren can repeat this pace in qualifying, if Piastri can extract another lap like that, then pole position is no longer guaranteed. And if pole is not guaranteed in Suzuka, then the entire race becomes unpredictable. Strategy changes. Pressure increases. And suddenly, Mercedes is not managing the race. They're fighting it. And that's something they haven't had to do all season. So now everything builds toward one moment. Not FP3. Not even the final lap of qualifying. But the moment where both cars are pushed to the absolute limit. No margins. No safety. Just pure performance. Because that's when we find out the truth. Was this just one perfect lap from McLaren? Or did they just unlock something that even Mercedes cannot match anymore? And this is where the real concern begins. Because up to this point, Mercedes can still explain it. A strong lap from Piastri. Perfect conditions. A clean run. All of that makes sense. But what doesn't make sense is what happens next. Because when you look beyond that one lap, the pattern stays. McLaren doesn't drop back. They don't fade. They stay right there. Lap after lap. Consistent. Controlled. Comfortable. And that's the moment where this stops being a surprise and starts becoming a threat. Because one fast lap can be dismissed. But repeated performance, that cannot be ignored. And here's where things get even more uncomfortable for Mercedes. They are pushing. They are extracting everything from the W17. And yet, they are not clearly ahead. Which means one thing. They are closer to their limit than they expected. And McLaren might not be. That's the part that creates real pressure inside a team. Because if your rival is matching you while still improving, then you're already behind. Even if the stopwatch doesn't fully show it yet. And this connects directly to what McLaren revealed. Not just speed. Control. The MCL40 looks calm. Predictable in high-speed corners. Stable under load. It doesn't fight the driver. It works with him. And that allows something extremely important. Confidence. Piastri is not correcting the car. He's committing to it. Fully. Through spoon. Through 130R. No hesitation. And in Suzuka? That's where lap time lives. But here's the deeper layer. Because this is not just about driving style. It's about how the car manages energy. How it delivers power across long corners. How it avoids the drop-offs that affect other teams. And suddenly, a new possibility appears. What if McLaren didn't just fix reliability? What if they improved efficiency? What if they found a way to maintain energy deployment longer than Mercedes can? That would explain everything. The stability. The consistency. The strength in Sector 2. And if that's true, then Mercedes is not just facing a fast car. They're facing a smarter one. And that's much harder to beat. Because you can chase speed. You can find tenths. But efficiency, that's built into the concept. And it doesn't disappear overnight. Which leads to the final shift in perspective. This is no longer about who is fastest on Friday. It's about who has more room to improve. Who can unlock more performance on Saturday. And who will still have something left on Sunday. Because if McLaren has truly fixed their core issue and unlocked this level of performance without upgrades, then this might not be their peak. It might just be the beginning. And if that's the case, then Mercedes is no longer defending a lead. They are about to enter a fight. They didn't expect to have this early in the season. And the real question now is, when both teams push to the absolute limit, who actually has more left to give?